Welcome back to our channel where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. We provide you with the exciting news Prince William and Harry implodes as Princess Anne reveals hidden secret. According to an insider, say that the British monarchy is going through a big change and a lot of stress right now. Most of the worry is about King Charles III's health and the institutional arrangements that will determine the monarchy's future. The king's cancer treatment has brought up questions that are always there in a royal household, but are now more important. Who will do what? How will senior family members share duties? What the king's clear or implied wishes are for the succession and distribution of his personal assets, and how those choices may affect long-standing family divisions. Recent news has mostly been on how it would affect his kids, Prince William and Prince Harry. These insiders suggest that talks about long-term plans and how to handle them have made the brothers' separation much worse and placed the royal family at a crossroads. For decades, the royal family has been able to keep their private lives separate from their public duties. However, this separation is being questioned more than ever. The sovereign's public role requires continuity that can be established and implemented in contingency plans, but the family's private aspects resist exact preparedness. The king's illness has brought the two spheres closer together. Judgments on private assets, influence houses, patronages, and both symbolic and material authority. How you handle your feelings now, whether you share them, keep them to yourself, or deal with them informally, could alter your family relationships and how others feel about the institution. Because family members have different public profiles, loyalties, and interactions in the media and with other people, these kinds of judgments are considerably more difficult. It is hard to create an estate when each family member has a different public reputation, private goals, and commercial deals. Royal sources say that Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, summoned a family meeting. People who know say that the meeting was called to talk about private health difficulties and the king's future preferences, which have an impact on estate planning and how the monarchy is run. Prince Harry was there, but Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, wasn't. This is in line with her past reluctance to visit the UK and meet the royal family in person. Participants said the session was emotionally charged because of the intricate and personal nature of family devotion, constitutional heritage, and civic duty. People say that the talks were mostly on the king's choices about his own estate and changes to the structure of the monarchy, which is not what most people thought they would be about. A family meeting has both practical and symbolic purposes. In practice, it was supposed to make sure that senior relatives and those who would be most affected by a redistribution of jobs understood the king's objectives and the immediate practical effects. Instead of having the king talk to them directly or via a private lawyer, Princess Anne called a meeting to stress the familial nature of the choices while still showing respect for the institution. According to sources, the meeting aimed to balance the need for privacy with the need for family openness until arrangements were established. Even well-planned leaks to some journalists may spread quickly in a global media environment that is under a lot of scrutiny. Many people, both within and outside the house, saw Princess Anne's job as a smart move since she can keep her family close while yet being professional. According to sources in the court, the king trusted her honesty and follow-through in public duty on a subject that would normally make people defensive. Sources say that the conference was about delicate preferences, making sure everyone understood the reality of short and long-term office and patronage, and trying to establish a shaky agreement in the face of emotionally charged alternatives. People stated the idea was to keep people's hopes in check and prevent surprises from happening in public. Even still, media briefings and pundit talk about the meeting have made things worse for the family. What is said in private in front of kin may quickly become national. Charles became king and took over royal responsibilities when Queen Elizabeth II died in September 2022. The news that he was getting cancer treatment in early 2024 made a tough job much harder. That comment could have made the king and his closest advisors ponder how they would handle things in the future and what they would leave behind. There was more scrutiny on how he would divide his wealth, long-term patrons' homes, and private assets among his heirs. As the next in line for the throne, Prince William was supposed to inherit the crown's official inheritance, much of the king's private fortune, and the Duchy of Cornwall's large income and duties which he took on when his father became king. Recent rumors say that King Charles could be thinking about giving up some of his own territory, which has led to family conversations. The king's private estate comprises land, personal goods, and long-term patronages that are worth money and have meaning. Modern kings and queens live at Balmoral and Sandringham. Highgrove and other places have been private homes and charity offices. Cornwall gives money to the heir apparent, whereas Lancaster gives money to the king or queen. Decisions concerning who gets property, who retains art, and how trust arrangements are made may affect the private lives of family members and the public image of the monarchy. There are rumors that Charles would want to separate personal gifts from institutional duties. This has led to issues about how a future king would manage such a distribution and how it might affect the heir's financial independence and capacity to maintain specific patronages. Reallocating assets has an effect on more than just bank accounts and deeds. Patronage and residency are frequently connected. For example, a royal who supports a charity or regiment may live near the group they sponsor, which might help them get to know the leaders and recipients over time. If a major contributor moves or loses their financial independence, it might hurt a charity's ability to raise money, its reputation, and the continuation of its programs. Public historical relics, such as artworks, royal heirlooms, and ceremonial items, provide symbolic meaning that may shape national narratives on continuity and identity. When deciding whether assets should remain with family members, go into public trust, or be given to museums, cultural stewardship and estate management come into play. People who saw said that Princess Anne was picked on purpose to provide sensitive information. The Princess Royal is recognized for being honest and hard-working, which makes her a stabilizing force in the family and outside of it. Princess Anne is regarded for being clear, forceful, and honest, whereas King Charles is known for being emotional and taking his time to think things through. Sources say that the king trusted her to give bad news in a way that was clear and didn't lead to misunderstandings or emotional outbursts. Royal observers think this choice was made on purpose to keep the crown stable and its institutions strong in the long run. There is a big concern behind these procedural choices. How should the monarchy run under King William V, the name that many people think he will choose? And what, if any, public role should Prince Harry have to figure out how present activities could affect the future? It's important to know the legal and customary basis for succession and responsibility transmission. British royal succession is simple and written down. The heir apparent becomes king as soon as the current monarch dies. There is no option or election for succession. It happens automatically. When Charles dies, his oldest son, Prince William, will become king. He married Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who became the Queen Consort. Coronations are symbolic and constitutional, but they don't give anybody the right to rule. The accession happens right away, but the coronation makes sure that the new king or queen knows what their tasks are. The present succession and its logic were formed by events in the past. The 1936 crisis, when King Edward VIII gave up the throne to Mary Wallace Simpson, an American who had been divorced twice, set the stage for the 20th century succession. After that amazing decision, his younger brother George VI became king, which meant that Princess Elizabeth was next in line for the throne. During Elizabeth's reign, which lasted more than 70 years, people came to expect the crown to act in a certain way, take on royal duties, and provide measured public service. The crown is both a family and a constitutional institution. Therefore, current succession processes are both regular and emotional. King Charles hasn't said he wants to step down, but plans for his successor are being made quietly and carefully. The king has continued to carry out his constitutional duties even while getting treatment. For example, he has had private talks with the Prime Minister, which shows how important it is to balance personal health with sovereignty. Other senior royals have taken up the ceremonial and representational obligations of the monarchy as his public duties have lessened. Prince William and Catherine in particular have taken on more public duties and been more visible. This has sped up the process of becoming sovereign and consort. Charles is determined to keep his job, but he has had to recognize that there are practical limits. This has made the heir's experience and public image grow faster according to observers and royal historians. The royal family does this kind of planning all the time. To keep ceremonial and constitutional state machinery functioning smoothly, detailed plans for what to do in case of an emergency are preserved and updated. Operation Menai Bridge is the secret name for the plan in case King Charles dies. It is named after a Welsh suspension bridge and is a subtle nod to Charles's lengthy time as Prince of Wales. People think that preparation for Operation Menai Bridge became more serious following Queen Elizabeth II's burial. The household had just finished Operation London Bridge, the blueprint that ruled her death and state ceremony. Code names make it possible for departments and agencies to plan together without anybody knowing. Menai Bridge and London Bridge have a lot going on, including royal household activities, government communications, security, and international diplomatic etiquette. British ambassadors' postings both in the UK and abroad, as well as the ceremonial schedules for state events and the legal documents that go with them, must all be planned around practical considerations, like the mobility of the sovereign's body venue bookings for ceremonial events and public order when vast crowds pay their homage. To prepare a strategy, security services, transit authorities, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, and the palace's senior advisors go over almost every possible situation. Most of this preparation is technical, but it also has a symbolic meaning. Timing the way public statements are worded and visual cues like lowering flags are all important parts of national ritual that show respect and solemnity. Operation Menai Bridge would follow the rules set by the Constitution and by previous actions. The royal family and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will be informed right away. After talking to each other, a notice with a black border is usually put up on the gates of Buckingham Palace to make a public message. For national mourning, the flags at government buildings and British embassies and consulates across the world will be lowered at half-mast. Public communications would teach the country and plan memorial services throughout the state's time of grief. Prince William's first speech as king is important and significant because it shows that the government will continue to work and that the king is dedicated to serving. The coronation was set several months later. The time between the king's death and his coronation gives the country time to mourn and the royal family time to plan the huge and historically important ceremony. For instance, King Charles's coronation took place 8 months after he became king in May 2023. Queen Elizabeth II's coronation took place 16 months after her father's death in 1952. This was because of post-war restrictions and delayed preparation and communication. After the king died, his corpse was carried from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall, where the people may pay their respects before the official burial in Westminster Abbey. This allowed the public to take part while still following the rules of a formal ceremony. These steps are quite similar to what the Constitution says should happen when a sovereign can't do their job but hasn't died or resigned. The Regency Act of 1937 says that a regent may do the king's job if the king is unwell or unable to do it. The act lets the next successor over 21, who is presently Prince William, serve as Prince Regent and use the powers of the king without becoming king. The appointment of a regent keeps things going while retaining the legal and symbolic difference between being the king's agent and being the king. To use the Regency Act, you need more than just the king's consent. Instead, the law says that at least 3 high-ranking officials, the Lord Chancellor, the Speaker of the House of Commons, the Lord Chief Justice of England, the Master of the Rolls, and the Queen's consort, Queen Camilla, must issue a formal written statement of incapacity. This fundamental provision needs a lot of signatures to stop incapacity declarations that are politically motivated or just for fun. The last time British Regency was used was in the early 1800s, when King George IV ruled in place of his father, King George III, who was mentally ill and couldn't govern. That example indicates that the regency system has been used in the past and is still important now. Any protracted execution of designated royal duties has political and cultural ramifications that extend beyond mere constitutional formalities. A regency is supposed to be temporary to keep the constitution from falling apart, but it might cause issues for how the public sees authority and continuity when a younger family member is plainly doing the duties of a king. It could also change how a future monarch really experiences being a monarch. Some constitutional scholars contend that regency systems need intentional public communication to explain their rationale and maintain confidence in the robustness and impartiality of the constitutional framework. People have also spoken about what official and unofficial activities Queen Camilla could have to do after King Charles dies. A queen dowager is usually the widow of a king or queen. After King George VI died in 1952, his wife was given the title the Queen Mother to set her apart from the present queen. The term Queen Mother does not apply to Camilla because she is not the Queen's mother. She would still have to provide money and help out in her community as Queen Dowager. Royal historians and observers think that Camilla will keep supporting her public activities such as raising awareness about domestic abuse and literacy, and that she will also keep her honorary military positions and patronages at the incoming monarch's discretion. The Dowager Queen would have to change her living circumstances because of the new reign, as has been the case for a long time. Some people have said that Clarence House, where Camilla and Charles reside now, may be a good place for them to live in the future. These hopes are based on what has happened in the past and what is practicable, not on residence regulations. People have spoken about Camilla's future role in terms of public diplomacy, how she acts, what causes she supports, and how often she is visible in public may all affect stability and continuity. 20th century famous dowagers provide several examples, rather than just one. For example, the Queen Mother was quite involved in public life, whereas other royal widows were more quiet. Camilla's placement might either make people feel that the transition is going well, or make things less clear at a key moment of change. There has been a lot of talk about what will happen to Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, next. Harry's relationship with the family has been hard and frequently public since 2020, when he and Meghan relocated to the US and stopped doing important royal duties. Harry's activities, such as releasing his honest memoir Spare and a Netflix documentary series, have made things worse, particularly with his older brother Prince William, even though he has spoken kind things about his family in interviews and public statements. Spare was out in January 2023, months after Queen Elizabeth II died. Harry has indicated that the book was a trimmed version of a much longer original. People who have seen the first book say that material that was cut out may be used in a subsequent memoir. Royal experts say that Prince Harry could publish a second memoir. Harry said when Spare came out that he had trimmed it from a longer manuscript, which made it seem like there will be more releases. People who know the royals say Kinsey Schofield thinks a second book is feasible, but Harry may wait to release it until after his father's reign. She imagined Harry may share more personal experiences if Prince William stayed away when he became king. "I do think he would write about his family again," Schofield said. "I think he may write a book once his father dies, particularly if Prince William keeps him at arm's length." Family watchers think that Harry could make further public admissions if he thinks the price of holding back is too great. The media climate in which such revelations would be made public also makes things more difficult. There has been a growing interest in insider tales in the last several years, so any new disclosures about the royal family would get a lot of attention on streaming services, talk programs, social media, and in the tabloid press across the globe. The institution's reputation is at risk because new information might reopen old wounds and make it harder to get things back to normal after very public breaks. When Harry planned any future book or media project, he would think about the money he might make versus how it would hurt his family and their followers. Personal reasons and legal and contractual issues with publishers and producers affect when and how information is made public. The formal royal styles and titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are also controversial. In theory, they still have these titles, but with important restrictions. Harry and Meghan choose not to use their His/Her Royal Highness HRH titles in business settings after quitting their high-ranking positions. This shows that they are no longer involved in state-sponsored activities, but still use the formal titles. People are wondering whether Prince William, who is going to be king, will take those styles away from the couple for good because of that agreement. Sources say that William is more determined than his father. It's no secret that William wants Harry to be punished more severely. He feels he has betrayed the family from top to bottom, which is the worst crime in the Windsor family. Charles's advisors claim the king has been hesitant to take family disagreements to the next level on little slights. There are means to modify styles, titles, and patronages that work in real life, and the king or queen has official power over royal titles. Letters patent and other official documents have been used to settle matters of style and succession, although previous leaders have seldom used their power in very public family fights. King George V's letters patent from 1917 stated who in the royal family might use the titles of His/Her Royal Highness and Prince/Princess. Later, kings and queens have used similar tools to make styles clearer or more limited. People argue that in the past, these kinds of problems were dealt with in a more official and politically savvy way. According to a source at the palace, the king did not see a social media post from the vice president of Ukraine addressing the Duchess of Sussex as Your Royal Highness as a reason to go to war. A palace insider said, Charles isn't going to start a new front in the Civil War because of one Instagram post. But William might change and codify titles and patronages to defend the monarchy's public image or internal unity. A new king or queen could change honorary military ranks and patronages to reflect and affect the public roles of family members. When a monarch retires, their patronages are often given to someone else to make sure that causes continue to have royal support and public-facing duties are met. Patronage reassignment shows how much a person is a part of the basic institutional machinery. It may also show if a person is included or excluded without using official titles or styles. A new monarch must decide whether to keep change or get rid of patronages. This impacts family, charitable, military, and civic alliances that value continuity and personal connections with royal patrons. The leader's private choices and public personas will affect how people see the crown. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is seen by many as the future of the monarchy and a sign of continuity. Many observers interpreted her wearing an Alexander McQueen gown and a silver tiara during King Charles III's coronation as a statement of continuity and modern elegance, which foreshadowed her future role as queen consort. Catherine went from being a shy lady to one of the most famous and respected royals when she married Prince William in 2011. During this change, people have worked on developing their public poise, ceremonial and representational skills, and philanthropic objectives on purpose. Catherine is distinct from many other royal consorts because of her background. Catherine's family looks to be middle class, which is different from many of the people who married into the family who were from wealthy families. Diana, Princess of Wales, was born into the Spencer family. Queen Camilla's family has titled ancestors. Catherine's mother, Carol Middleton, was raised in poor housing and worked as a flight attendant before starting a successful party planning company. Catherine is frequently mentioned in public conversations regarding the monarchy's social reach as the first British queen in modern times to hold a university degree and come from a middle-class family. Some people feel this makes the institution more approachable to the public. People watched closely as she made her way into public life. Catherine and Prince William met at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, where their relationship became well known in 2004. William publicly asked for Catherine's seclusion in the early years of their marriage. This was an unusual thing for a king to say, but it showed how serious the invasion was. In 2007, they broke up for a short time because of speculations and tabloid coverage. The press dubbed Catherine Waity Katie, which was a nasty name that reflected how long people had to wait for an engagement announcement. Catherine, like many others who marry into the royal family, became part of the inner circle. Reports say that Camilla and other senior royals were not sure at first that Catherine was right for the job. Catherine worked in fashion and for her family's business before becoming a full-time royal, as Queen Elizabeth II told her to do. People say that these jobs have helped her feel more confident and able to fulfill her public obligations. Catherine and the late Queen Elizabeth II seemed to have a close and emotional bond. Public moments during formal events, like when the two exchanged smiles, and the Queen seemed to trust Catherine's judgment-fueled stories that suggested a close bond between the two generations. People who know the family well believe that the Queen valued Catherine's calm public manner and steady dedication to her duties, which were not always easy with other family members throughout her long reign. Meghan Markle told Oprah Winfrey in 2021 that Catherine had made her weep during a fight. Catherine has mostly followed an unwritten royal rule: never complain, never explain. To save her dignity and avoid a public fight, Catherine and her aides kept humble. Catherine's role has expanded, and her duties have grown as senior royals have stepped down and problems have needed management's attention. After consulting with the late Queen and other important authorities about how to handle different crises, she has been considered as a stabilizing force for the monarchy's public image. Sources say that Elizabeth II trusted Catherine to handle the institution's future, particularly in her final years. People in the palace regard Catherine as a safe pair of hands who can keep calm while still thinking smartly about her current royal duties. The way things are going right now makes things much harder for William and Catherine. The other senior royals have had to do more work since Harry and Meghan stopped doing their crown duties. Catherine has attempted to balance her public duties with her home life by planning her work and parenting time. She is the mother of 3 young children. Her charity efforts, patronages, and official duties generally concentrate on mental health, early childhood development, and the health of families. This is in line with her public position, which tries to blend personal authenticity with institutional obligation. These changes, the king's illness and reassessments. Princess Anne's role in making hard decisions, the possibility of using constitutional mechanisms, the possibility of title and patronage changes, and William and Catherine's centrality make the monarchy very complicated at a very important time of change. In the next months and years, choices will change how personal property is divided and ceremonial tasks are handled, as well as how the public sees the institution. It is important to find a good balance between protecting the crown's long-standing traditions and constitutional continuity and changing people's expectations and obligations in a world full of media. The royal family will require legal knowledge, good managerial skills, and emotional intelligence as it deals with succession issues and the problems this generation has with one another. The monarchy is currently facing challenges due to the king's health issues, Princess Anne's strategic involvement in family communications, the potential for formal legal changes and informal shifts in patronage and titles, and the prominent roles of William and Catherine. This tests its ability to adapt in an orderly manner. The succession and regency procedures are supposed to make sure that things keep going the same way, but how easy it is to make changes to institutions will depend on family members' opinions and connections, public choices, and private legacy decisions. In the next months, observers will scrutinize not just official statements and legally mandated actions, but also the family's approach to these sensitive matters, whether with sensitivity and unity or with division. People's trust in the crown's caretakers is just as crucial as etiquette and succession laws for keeping it strong. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.